This segment is brought to you by Kansas Wheat. Learn more at rediscoverwheat.org.
Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor on Ag Am in Kansas. I'm your host, Conrad Capus. Several members of the Kansas Farm Bureau recently visited Washington, D.C. in March. The trip started off with briefings from key point personnel of the American Farm Bureau Federation and wrapped up with a reception where Senator Jerry Moran spoke. Dale Moore serves as Executive Director of Public Policy for the American Farm Bureau Federation.
Hi, I'm Dale Moore, Executive Director for Public Policy at the American Farm Bureau Federation, and it's great to have all the folks from back home in Kansas in town working on behalf of the farmers and ranchers, not just those from Kansas, but from all across the country. Well, one of the most important parts, one of the most important strengths that American Farm Bureau has is our grassroots members. So we are a grassroots-driven organization. Our policy book comes together by those men and women at the county level who put the policies together and carry them on up through their respective states, bring them to the national convention when we have that get together, and our delegates there put our policy book together. That policy book is what drives us here in Washington. I can go up to the Hill, visit with senators, visit with representatives, lay out what American Farm Bureau policy is. But as I share with the men and women, when they take time to come from their farms or ranches into Washington and visit with their elected officials, the most important thing that they are doing for me as their staff here in Washington is letting the men and women on the Hill know that the policies that I'm pushing, that the information I am sharing is not something that I've dreamed up, not something that I've made up. It's coming directly from our grassroots members.
Dale originates from Southwest Kansas, and him, along with the American Farm Bureau Federation, benefit from seeing Kansas Farm Bureau coming to Washington, D.C. to share their stories with legislators and others in the area.
Well, I'm excited. I grew up in Kansas, southwest corner out in Copeland, Kansas, and again, it's always great when the Kansas team comes in from the state. I've got a big group in town this week. That's one of the things that I enjoy. Is getting to see the friends that I grew up with, a number of the guys and gals that I spent time either in high school or even in college with. But when they come to town now, there's been a change with the new Congress. Senator Pat Roberts, who had previously chaired the House Agriculture Committee when he represented the big 1st District, is now the chairman of the Senate Agriculture Committee. He's the first individual in history to have chaired both agriculture committees, and that's something that, as a member of the Roberts family, because I had the privilege of working for Mr. Roberts for 13 years when he was on the House side. At the same time, Senator Jerry Moran, our other senator, also who had represented the big 1st District, is now the chair of Agriculture Appropriations on the Senate side. That's a very important key role. And so when it comes to agriculture here in town, particularly on the Senate side, Kansas is well represented among the decision makers. And it's a big advantage and a big responsibility that all of us from Kansas have.
Farm Bureau works on analyzing farmer and rancher problems all over the nation.
Well, when we look at advocating on behalf of farmers and ranchers, particularly the Farm Bureau members that we who work at American Farm Bureau represent, as well as the state staff, there's a tendency to think that there's American Farm Bureau, then there's the Kansas Farm Bureau. And one of the things we try to make sure that folks who come to town understand is that I work very closely with the Kansas Farm Bureau team, and we are a team. What makes that team work is when the men and women out there at the countryside, the boots on the ground level, take time to come to Washington. The representatives, the senators, they know that it's their constituents who are coming to town that are taking time away from, their day-to-day work, how this has affected him, whether it's the Water of the U.S. rule or it's an immigration reform issue, an ag labor issue, or it's my, as a farmer, my ability to use genetically modified varieties of seed. Or I'm dealing with endangered species. All of those that's a real honest to goodness, kind of grassroots level impact that the policies, the laws, the regulations that the men and women out in the countryside have to deal with day in and day out gives us that ability to make that much more progress toward trying to find a solution, or in some cases, simply trying to find a way to stop bad things from happening.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484.